Welcome to NYFA's Housing Innovation Marketplace here in Omaha, Nebraska. And today we're going to be talking with Nebraska's housing experts. For the next 9 minutes, they will give us their ideas about the state, resources, challenges, and future of one of Nebraska's most important industries.
Having a stable, safe place to live, regardless of your income, has a ripple effect into every aspect of your life, your health, your mental well-being, and your employment.
Housing more than pays its way. And it pays its way in a big way. It brings lots of jobs, 7,000 or 8,000 jobs to the community. It brings lots of tax revenue, it brings lots of income, and it pays its way.
Their dream is to have a house, to live with the family, and to have the business. No?
Today, none of us are capable of playing a solo in the housing industry. It's always an orchestral effort.
What is your opinion on the current state of housing in Nebraska?
Well, we're very fortunate in Nebraska, really, to be in the position that we're in. There are 440,000 homes across the United States that have been foreclosed and now owned by banks. In Nebraska, we're at a very tiny portion of that.
We didn't have a housing problem over the last 5 or 6 years. We really had a financial problem that was exacerbated by housing.
What I've noticed in the past 6 months is that there's a number of companies that are expanding, but the difficulty is getting housing for their employees, particularly in small communities such as Deschler. It's very hard to attract workers when there's not enough housing.
South Sioux City is a growing community. Even last year, we grew 494 new jobs in our area, so the demand on housing is higher than it's ever been.
The housing stock is aging. It's not all bad, but there's a lot of it that does need some work.
We recently had a family in Stella, Nebraska. They were living in an old, dilapidated home. We were able to help them construct a brand new home. The new home was right next to the old home. So we have a picture of this, and it's just amazing to see what they went from. You know, they came to tears when they wanted to talk about it.
People have this perception that young people are leaving rural communities, which, you know, that's true, but certainly in our community, it's young couples that are stepping up to buy homes because they plan to stay and they want to be there.
What are some of the state's most valuable resources for housing?
I think our most valuable resources are in the private sector. We still have lenders and realtors and many entities out there, local businesses that are willing to invest in making sure that there's a good solid housing stock across our communities, the contractors.
The low-income housing tax credit really truly leverages so many private dollars.
Our housing department has a purchase rehab resale program that's been very effective. We buy homes, renovate them, and get them out to people again.
Our organization has been very fortunate to be partnering with Nebraska Investment Finance Authority, Nebraska Housing Developers Association, Nebraska Department of Economic Development in bringing housing opportunities to the region.
NYFA does a fabulous job at not only assisting developers in helping them grow and think about communities. They also have community housing studies.
Well, I think NYFA offers a good array of programs right now, and it's just like a mechanic's tool chest or a doctor's bag.
Housing projects are of keen interest to us. We think the rent-to-own project that they have has been very innovative. We're an agency that looks to the future, talks to the communities, and wants to come up with new programs that will address the housing needs. So they're not a stagnant organization. And that's what you like to deal with, people with innovation and ideas.
Could you tell me about some of the challenges that we face right now?
In the rural communities, anyhow, we tend to be challenged because market rates typically don't support a lot of new construction. So the housing tends to be older. Of course, it deteriorates over time.
What is the impact on that neighborhood of that $14,000 house staying in that neighborhood? It's not going up in value. It's dragging down the value of everything around it. It's discouraging all of those other property owners from doing anything to improve their property.
Certainly there is pent-up demand for home ownership. But considering the long downturn, the pent-up demand is less evident than in other cycles like this. And in fact, a lot of people as a whole in this marketplace are in a wait-and-see attitude.
If we have the jobs and we can get the people, if we can't have a house for them to live in, they're not coming.
Decent new housing is really a need in our area.
You'll have communities that say, we don't need affordable housing, we don't want those people living in our community. That is so untrue, and the income limits that you can reach with a lot of these programs It's your teachers, it's your law enforcement, it's people you need in your community.
You know, the philosophy is you should never pay more than 30 to 40% of your income for rent and utilities. So if you have someone making $698 a month and the rent is, $450, it makes it challenging.
If you feel like homelessness is one step away from you, it's going to be hard for you to stay clean and sober.
And so we've seen a lot of increase in our homeless numbers based on the economy and people's inability to get good paying jobs or enough hours at the jobs that they have to sustain their housing.
If a kid's hungry, tired, living out of a car, they can't learn. We have a lack of shelter for these kids, and we have a lack of long-term transitional. We need more agencies to take it up and have more transitional units, and then we need more emergency shelters when those kids are in that transitional situation.
I work with individuals that have disabilities, and they continue to face barriers to accessing either home ownership or rental housing.
We also know there's a need for market rate in these communities as well. It's not just the lower income.
What does the future hold for us?
We need to open the door more for lots of smaller investors and a consortium of investors, particularly in the cities where there are backlogs of homes and developments that need to have action taken on them.
A lot of the stories where you see the successes and that are energizing are when a community comes together, and instead of putting a stigma on affordable housing, they actually recognize that they need it for their workforce.
I think there's a lot of opportunities in a lot of the smaller communities for housing. Housing not only the single family standalone, but also looking at the opportunities that are on our upper floors in our downtowns across the state.
NYFA is a big part of that, pushing those studies forward so that the state is aware of what our needs are as a community.
One of the greatest things that NYFA and other organizations like NYFA can do in the state is to continue to build the concept of first-time home buying and making sure that people maintain the passion for home ownership.
Are there any final comments?
We've come through this economic period in very good shape with strong and robust communities, and we see an opportunity to ride that wave through the next decade.
Well, the good news is I think that all across the state people understand the value of housing and their overall in their community and as part of their economy and economic development, and truly have a commitment to make sure that people have appropriate, affordable, safe housing.